Hi.
Hi. So Anya, you are a parent yourself. What did you learn about, like, how did writing this book change your own relationship with your kids and their screens?
So I was an education reporter. I'd written a few books about education and technology, and was thinking a lot about some of the techno-optimism that had been articulated in places like MIT Media Lab about children and how they're going to learn so naturally in the world of technology. And then I had my own kids and was sort of fascinated / horrified by not only how their relationship to, especially mobile devices was so captivating for them and opened up this whole world for them, but also how my relationship with social media and tech was changing as a new parent, because parenting is this identity transformation that we go through as adults. And like other identity transformations, it's a time when people spend a lot of time online. They're looking for validation. They're trying to get questions answered. And so I knew that I needed a book like this to help me understand those processes and try to get a handle on, what should I be afraid of? What should I be excited about? Or maybe both.
So what should you be afraid of?
Why do you have to start with the fear, Alan?
Sorry, we can start. What should you be excited about? What are you excited about?
Well, it's totally fine. But I think, people are excited about the idea that even very young children, but also teens, can use the world of the web to really take control of their own learning, to follow their own curiosity, to explore creative expression, whether that's in the world of fandom or in coding or in, and then also to connect with others. That, a rural teen in Nebraska who's dealing with gender identity issues has a portal to a whole world of support that would never have been, wouldn't have been that easy a couple of decades ago. So that's the promise. Mm-hmm. And the peril is, of course, all the things we've been talking about today. These are such compelling technologies. They are sucking us in, and they're making us, separate from each other and sucked into our own worlds.
Mm-hmm. So speaking to the fear, one of the things you write about in your book is that there are a lot of gaps in information about this. There are a lot of self-styled experts, and in those gaps in information, a lot of anxiety can fester. So what do you think are some of the most dangerous tropes circulating about kids and social media, kids and screens?
Well, some of the most dangerous tropes are also the most familiar, because when we talk about young people, they are the representatives of the new and the unknown. And so whether it's comic books or horror movies or even something like The Telegraph, Dana Boyd, who I interview a lot in the book, talks about how The Telegraph was this agent of immorality because, first of all, you could communicate with suitors across the country, strangers, people were misrepresenting themselves over The Telegraph, and also Telegraph girls, they had all this portal to this unknown world and things that they could, they were making money, they're talking to strange men. So it's really, you got to be careful with The Telegraph.
Yeah, you do.
So these are tropes about women, about the morality of girls. Mm-hmm. They're tropes about stranger danger. They're about something that's new and exciting that adults don't control and don't totally understand. And a lot of these are things that we're talking about with teens today. Also with an overlay of concern trolling, which is the term for when you kind of are shaming someone in the guise of being so worried about them. We're so worried about their depression, their anxiety, the fact that they are, potentially even more addicted to their phones. Although I don't think the research really bears that out, that they're more addicted to their phones than anyone else.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because so addiction is I use that word, but it's, the World Health Organization has identified tech addiction as being something that's a behavioral issue, and the American psychiatric profession, the jury is kind of still out. Certainly young people who have access to phones spend a lot of time on them, and obviously there's correlations between spending a lot of time on your phone and having potentially other kinds of issues, and those include a wide range of things we talked about, neural differences as well as anxiety, depression. But what we don't know is what the causal relationship is, and that's something I kind of get into again and again in the book.
Yeah. So let's talk about teachers and schools. To what degree can and should teachers be monitoring kids' social media use, kids' screen time? Of course, screens can be a valuable tool in the classroom, but where should teachers draw the line? Sort of what's the state-of-the-art thinking on this right now?
This is such a tricky problem. Of course, people like to pillory American schools for being not innovative, but in fact, they have been grasping at trying to figure out what the best practice is. And if you look at American schools just in the last decade or so, they've gone from, not too much computer use to laptops to tablets in the classroom, one-on-one, and now they're trying to get devices out of the hands of kids. So it really is kind of a very tricky landscape to navigate. In the nation of France just banned smartphones in middle schools, and they have the luxury of doing that because they have centralized control over all the schools. And it was seen as something there that would get a lot of popular support, and actually Macron kind of tweeted like, "Mission accomplished." This is something he can point to as an achievement. And Britain's now talking about doing the same thing. So in the US, it's really, I think teachers are struggling to know what to do. Should I try to incorporate Fortnite into my lesson plan, or should I make everyone leave their backpacks outside the door? That really is the two.
Are teachers actually incorporating Fortnite into their lesson plans?
They're trying really hard because teachers are really innovative, and whatever their kids are engaged by is something that they're going to try to do. And they are taking the example of Minecraft, of course, which has 100 million users and has a robust network of teachers who are incorporating it into different lesson plans. So, any game that's high quality enough potentially has that ability, but it takes a lot of hard work and support for teachers to do that.
Right. And one last question before we take it to the audience. What about misinformation? Teens are taking in a lot of information, and they may not have the media literacy to understand how to filter it. What should schools be doing to talk to kids about what information's good, what information's bad, how to verify it?
Yeah, I kind of facepalm a little bit when I think that it's going to be teachers that have to, wield the force of truth against, all the forces of misinformation. I don't think it's just teens' problem. I do think that it's very interesting when we think about how we communicate to young people about what they should be doing and what they should be trusting, because a really great observation that was made by one of the experts in my book was that if you as a parent or as a teacher take a dictatorial stance to your kid and you say, "Because I said so," or "the answer is in the back of the book," you are conditioning them to not think critically about what they know and what they hear. And where is that mindset going to get them when they go online and they say, "Well, so-and-so shared this, right. I should really trust that." So critical thinking, which is an ancient value and definitely been part of the curriculum for a long time, can maybe go a long way.
Any questions?
Yes, so I actually teach media literacy to middle schoolers, and right now I just teach at a very small private school, and it's something that I would like to see more of out in the world. Do you have any suggestions about what we can do to make teaching these skills to kids as a more widespread thing?
That's a great question. So states are starting to pass laws incorporating this. Rhode Island is one that I've been talking with. And thank you for doing that, by the way. But I follow Mike Caulfield online. Do you know his work? He has a free ebook, and he talks about, it's called 4 Moves and a Habit. And it's about kind of the rhythm of media literacy and basically just checking stuff before you share it online. Very great tip is, if anything makes you feel very strongly as you come across it in your feeds, that is your clue to see if it may or may not be BS. Yeah.
Hi, Rich Nielsen. I'm here at MIT. So a few of the panels, including this one, I think when I hear screen time, I'm a parent as well, and I think a number of minutes. And earlier we heard about the number of times you unlock your phone, kind of these quantitative metrics of like how much we engage with these things, that it seems like the panelists agree don't really capture how much it's affecting our lives negatively or positively. And I'm wondering what you think. I'm fairly algorithmically minded. I'm wondering if there are other metrics that you think I might pay attention to, especially for kids, to say to myself, how is this really affecting their lives beyond the number of minutes that they're spending? Or if there is no metric and I should trust my parenting instinct, which is hit or miss, Tuesdays and Thursdays, but not
I
the
think
other.
that's a great question. I would answer it in a couple of ways. I mean, I talk in the book about various strategies. You need to look at the rest of your kid's day, their 24-hour day. Do they have reading time with a book? What's their bedtime looking like? That's a huge one. Do they have family meal times? Do they have time outside, time with friends? And so the overall picture of their day and where screens fit into that. Within the screen diet, I really do like to look at the pie of things that they're using and how can you shift toward joint media use, so things that you're doing together on the phone or even with their friends on the phone or on the tablet. Creative uses for discovery, exploration, and so not just consumption, even within that screen time. And then, besides that, it's hard, when you talk about trusting your instincts, I think that's good, but kids and parents also benefit from really clear expectations. I see a lot of parents running into problems when they are kind of permitting media use on a case-by-case basis or even for their own convenience. And that's something that obviously is really easy to do, but it benefits everyone when people understand that we have screen times and no screen times. And obviously that goes for parents as well. We have to walk the walk.
All right, we have time for one more.
Great.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Lubinski. I have a 4-year-old son who, as a parent, I've heard screen time as basically consumption of TV is a bad thing. But lately, he's watching Magic School Bus and other programs. He's coming to me with a ton of learning from them. Mm-hmm. And I've started to shift my thinking a little bit in terms of narrative and programs as a way to teach a child. And I think about my own experience with Mr. Rogers growing up or Sesame Street and how much I absorbed from those things. Mm-hmm. Do you talk about the positive? I mean, I only hear negative, basically. But yeah, is there a positive side to this that in research that you've found?
Yeah, decades of research shows that kids learn from educational media. They learn also from negative media. They just learn from media. That's what they do. They soak it up. And so if there's positive messages in what you're learning, it's great. You can rely on that, that they are going to take messages. And what really the magic comes in that conversation that you have afterwards, and how can you stretch that out into, Magic School Bus is so great because you can build a diorama together. You can look other stuff up together that's related. You can read books that are related. You can dress up like Mrs. Frizzle for Halloween. Like anything that kind of incorporates the media experience into the real world will help kind of enrich and reinforce that learning. But absolutely, yes.
Anya, thank you so much.
Yeah.